What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Just coming to you today with another video, a helpful video for a lot of you who've been sending me emails and questions about microphone choice. So, when I get emails about microphones, I'm very careful about what I recommend. I make sure that I get the full amount of information for what they need it for. Some people need it for portable podcasting. Some people need it for in studio and things of that nature. So when I get these questions, I want to make sure I'm giving the right information, whether I give them a recommendation for an XLR microphone or a USB. So today's video is about the difference between actually the pros and the cons of using an XLR microphone and a USB microphone, because some people use USB, some people use XLR, and it all depends on your choice. Okay, so me personally, I use both. It really depends on if it's mobile or you know, if it's a gig. Like if it's something in my house, like where I'm at now, I like to use an XLR. If it's something where, let's just say I'm going to a audio convention, or a conference or something like that, then I'll use my USB because it's simple, quick plug in and I'm in there. So that's why I use both. So let's get started on the pros and cons of an XLR microphone and a USB microphone. So we're going to start with the pros of the XLR microphone. So for me, and this is just mine, and this may be the same thoughts of a lot of people, but for me, one of the pros is better audio quality. I've noticed when I've done a comparison, and I have done comparisons, not on YouTube, but just my own comparisons myself. I compare the XLR microphone to the USB, and I can tell you they both sound pretty good. They both sound great, but I had a little bit better audio quality with the XLR microphone. And I'll tell you why. Actually, I'm going to tell you why when we get to the USB microphone. It has something to do with the digital conversion. So better audio quality, I get better audio quality with an XLR microphone, and I think that's not so much arguable. A lot of people feel that the XLR microphone gives better audio quality, which I think it does. I've heard the differences and the comparisons on YouTube, and the XLR is a much better quality microphone in terms of the audio. So the second one, another pro of the XLR microphone is more control of gain and effects. Now, when I say that, I mean when you have an XLR microphone, and I'm going to show you, this is an XLR microphone. It has the 3 prongs. You stick the cable in there, and then once you stick this cable in, you connect this cable to a mixer or an audio interface. So more control of gain and effects is referring to when you connect this, put the cable in, connect this to a mixer. A mixer has a whole bunch of different components that you can manipulate the audio signal, such as the lows, the highs, the mid ranges. If you want more bass, you can turn up the bass a little bit on a mixer. So using an XLR microphone allows you to do that with a mixer, because you have your XLR microphone going into the mixer. You talk, I talk in here, it goes into the mix. The signal goes into the mixer, and then the mixer dishes out a signal into your USB or your recording, whatever you're recording on, your recording device. So before it gets to your recording device, between what you say and it going to the recording device, it's going to go through a mixer, and you have the opportunity to make changes, turn up the gain a little bit, turn down the bass and the lows and things like that. You may have some effects on that mixer that you can use. So having XLR microphone that's going through a mixer gives you more advantages. Now, excuse me, some people will argue, okay, so if you have and that's true. If you have a USB mixer, you can hook the USB up to your computer and then go through a digital recording system like Logic Pro, Audacity, and things of that. Any type of recording software, and add plugins, and you'll get the same results. You still can manipulate the signal. However, it tends to be a little bit more effective to me from physical equipment. Not saying that the plugins don't do a good job, but in terms of, a good sound and more effective effects, I tend to go with the physical hardware. And you can't get that with a USB, because a USB on a mixer, there's no USB slot, so you can stick in your USB slot. And this is what that is right here, and I'll show you that. This is a USB. Okay, so this goes this part. The other end connects to the USB microphone, and then it goes into your computer. So you can't do this with a mixer. That's why I say with an XLR right here, an XLR connection, you have a better opportunity. You have more control to more control to control the gain and the effects of your sound and what you're recording. The last one that I only gave you 3, but there's plenty more. The last one of the XLR Pros is no latency. There's no latency. There's no latency whatsoever. You talking to the microphone, you get your audio feedback, and it's pretty much right there. It's no delay or anything like that, where you would have with the USB. There is some latency, and that's actually one of the cons, but we'll get to that. But in terms of XLR, you don't have to worry about any latencies. All right, so let's go with the XLR cons, because there are some cons to this. All right. A lot of people don't like XLR microphones because they say it's a little bit too much for them to do other stuff, and that's one of the cons too. For somebody who's not tech savvy, then you might not want to get this. But that leads me to number one of the cons. You must have some type of audio knowledge. You got to have some type of audio knowledge in terms of a lot of people don't know how the different, like what an XLR microphone is, how to connect it. It's pretty simple, but some people don't. And if you're using an XLR microphone, you should have some knowledge, some type of audio knowledge to know what you're doing to get the best sound. I mean, you may know how to hook it up, and you may not have knowledge, but know how to hook it up. But if you have some knowledge of how to manipulate certain sounds, if you have knowledge to say, hey, look, his bass, his voice is too low, you'll have some type of knowledge to turn that low down a little bit so it's not so bassy, and his lows is not so low. So if you have some type of knowledge about that, then that's fine. But if you don't, using an XLR microphone, it probably won't do you too much of a purpose, because you don't have a good or basic knowledge of what to do with it. So you'll have the equipment to do what you have to do, but if you don't have any knowledge of it, then it's just not going to do you any good. The second one is the setup time. So with an XLR microphone, if you're setting something up, you got to take the time to get the microphone, okay? Then you got to plug it into here, and then you got to take the other end and then you got to plug it into the mixer, and then you got to take the mixer and that output, and you got to plug it into your recording device, whether it be your computer, a USB connection to your computer, or just to some type of recording device. It's time consuming. It may not be that much for some people because they're so used to it. They know what they're doing, and it's just a quick setup. But for some people, it's just too time consuming. Some people choose not to waste so much time hooking it up. They want something very quick. This is not it. So an XLR microphone The setup time, that's one of the cons of it. And my third one is you may need additional equipment. Okay, so let's look at this, because what you're hearing now is I'm on the Shure SM7B, and it's an XLR connection. This XLR connection right here, this is going to a cloud lifter, XLR. And then after it goes through the cloud lifter pretty much gives you a higher gain level while I'm turning it down, so I don't hear so much background noise and stuff like that. So once it goes through the cloud lifter, it's going to my DBX 286, and that DBX 286 helps me get rid of the background noise also, because there's planes flying over the house. I live near a military base. There's people outside. There's a lot of bumping and music and stuff like that outside sometime. And this won't pick it up. My DBX 286 won't pick that up because it has an expander on it that works great, has a compressor and stuff like that. So it goes into that, and then it goes into my Focusrite, my Focusrite 18i8, which is an audio interface, and then that goes into what I'm recording this on. So while I don't have to have all of that to get a good sound, and I think I guess it's safe to say that the audio that you hear now is pretty safe, and saying that it sounds pretty good. All of that is because I have different equipment hooked up to it, through starting with an XLR microphone. But all of it's connected to XLR, except for when it gets to the audio interface, then that's connected to the computer. But you need additional equipment for an XLR microphone. So like this right here, if I just have this this XLR microphone here, and this is a good one too. This is the Shure SM58, real good microphone. If I just have this microphone, there's no way I can hook this up to a computer, just plug it right into a computer. It has to be a USB connection into something else that has a USB connection to your computer. So if you have an XLR microphone, you're going to need additional equipment. You're going to need either an audio interface, or you're going to need some type of mixer to connect to your computer. So that is why, people say an XLR is a con. That's one of the cons, that you need additional equipment. If you're a podcast junkie like I am, you'll probably have it already, but a lot of people don't, and it's very expensive. And I don't just tell people to go out and buy this and get this, because not everybody has money to just throw out like that. I mean, it's everybody's situation and financial situation is different. So I don't dare go out and say, well, you need to get this. I make suggestions. I ask for their budget, and then I make my suggestions. So these are the pros and cons. XLR Pro, better audio quality, more control of your gain and effects through a mixer, no latency. XLR cons, you must have some type of audio knowledge, just to make it better anyway. Anybody can hook it up, but just to know what you're doing and make the audio signal sound better, you have to have some type of knowledge. The setup time, you're plugging up wires, you're connecting this, connecting that, unless if you have a studio and you keep it plugged up. Other than that, you're setting up, every time you're connecting this, connecting that. You need additional equipment. This will not go into a computer, straight into a computer. You're going to need this to go into an audio interface or a mixer to get it to go into a computer. So those are the pros and cons of an XLR microphone. All right, so now that we went over the pros and cons of an XLR microphone, we are now going to go over the pros and cons of a USB microphone. So a lot of people who are starting off with podcasting, they use a USB microphone simply because it's just easy, and they just don't need too much knowledge to connect it. They just plug it in, and that's what they do. So the first one we're going to talk about, the first pro, is what I just said. Easy to use. It's plug and play. So if you have a USB microphone, one end would be connected to the microphone. So you have one end connected to the microphone. This is not a USB microphone, but I'm just trying to show you for demonstration purposes. This will be connected to the microphone. Let me turn it around here. And then the other end, which is this USB right here. All right, take a look at that. USB. It will go into your computer. And once it goes into your computer, you get your computer to recognize, you just choose that particular microphone you want to be your input. And there it is. Just plug and play. There's not much to it. And that's one of the pros of using a USB. It's very quick to start using. You just plug and play, and easy for people who never connected a microphone before. It's no instructions to it. You just tell them to plug it in, and that's it. All right. So that's the first pro of a USB microphone. The second one is easier on your budget. So remember last time I said one of the cons of an XLR was that you need another additional equipment because you just can't hook an XLR microphone into a computer. It has to go into a mixer or audio interface to go into the computer. Whereas the USB, you don't need to buy a mixer. You don't need to buy an audio interface. It won't, you don't need that. All you need to do is have a computer. Okay. So you take the USB microphone, stick it in the computer, and that's it. There's no extra money you have to pay to buy a mixer or an audio interface as you would with an XLR microphone. So the third one is it's extremely portable. Now, I don't have a USB microphone anymore. I got rid of them, but I'm ordering another one. But it's about this size. And you see how portable this is. This is a Shure SM58. I can put this in my pocket right now and keep it moving. So I think, in my opinion, it's very portable. It's easy to just pack in your bag and keep it going. Whereas if you had an XLR microphone, you're talking about the XLR microphone, which is not bad, but then you got to bring the mixer and then you got to bring the audio interface. That's just too much. USB is extremely portable. You can put it in your bag, you can put it in your pocket, whatever. But that's an advantage, just having something that's extremely portable. If you're going to a conference, you can pull it out and you're good. You just connect it to your computer or whatever computer that's there, and then you start using it. So now let's talk about some of the cons of the USB microphone. So one of the cons is you can only use one at a time. Now, I say that for the average user. There actually is a way that you can use, there's a way you can use two USB microphones, and there is a video. You know what? I might have to put a link in the video, but there is a way that you can use two USB microphones on one Mac, and it takes a little configuration, but it's not hard. I've done it before, and it'll give you two separate audio tracks, so you can do it. But for the most part, in the average user, they don't know how to do that. So you can only use it on one particular computer at a time. So if you're doing it by yourself, then that's fine. If you need two people, you need to use two microphones, then probably an XLR connection is better, an XLR microphone, so you can connect it to an audio interface that has two inputs. But if you using a USB microphone, you're only gonna be able to connect one. All right, so that's a bummer. But like if you're advanced, then you can figure out how to connect two. There's a video on that. I was just rattling about that one. That's the main one for me. That's why. Latency issues. Another con of USB for USB mic is latency issues. Now, USB microphones, let me tell you how this works. Your audio from a USB microphone goes into the microphone, all right? And then it gets converted digitally, so to the zeros and ones. And once it's converted to zeros and ones digitally, it comes out of your output. And there's a delay process with doing that, so you will hear some latency. So you may say something, but then you'll hear a delay and you'll hear what you said again in your headphones. So That's why you have latency, because of the conversion process from the raw signal to a digital signal. All right. So latency issues, that's one of the cons. That's another one of the cons. A third con is you must have a computer. You can't use a USB microphone and not have a computer, because what are you going to stick this in? You can't. There's nothing to stick it in. This USB is mainly, USB microphones are mainly for connecting to computers, so you can just stick it in with ease and just go on about your business. But if you don't have a computer, then you can't use a USB microphone. And especially if, let's say, you're going to an event and they have a setup, but you need a computer to go live or something like that. If you're going live with your computer, I mean, you can use the speaker microphone, but that sucks. So you want to get a good microphone. So you got to have a computer to use a USB microphone, so you can have something to insert the USB into. So that's all for that. So now you know the pros and cons of a USB microphone. You know the pros and cons of an XLR microphone. What is your choice? What do you prefer? Like I said, I use both, but for the most part, I use the XLR. I'm on the XLR side. I would say about 85 to 15. So XLR is more on the 85 side for me. I use USB microphones when I'm out in the community and stuff like that, which I haven't been because of COVID-19. And it's just quick. Sometimes I go to some people's house. I used to anyway. And if we're recording something, it's quick. Use the USB, boom, pop it. No setting up or nothing. So both of them have their advantages, and I hope this video helps you choose which one you'd rather have. And like I said, the audio quality on both are pretty good. There are a few USB microphones that I have in mind. I'll tell you, one of the best ones is the Samsung Q2U. That microphone runs for about $69. It's an XLR microphone and a USB microphone. So you have the best of both worlds. I recommend that one. I also recommend the ATR 2100, which is also a USB and XLR microphone. They work pretty good. They kind of work just about the same, if you ask me. I think the Samsung Q2U, I'm not gonna say it's better. I think the ATR 2100X, because the ATR 2100, they discontinued that, and now they have the ATR 2100X, which is the only difference is, I mean, it's a little bit more power to it, but the connection is the C type connection. It's USB-C. It's not the regular USB. So that's the difference between the two. But I think the ATR 2100X is probably a little tiny bit better than the Samsung Q2U. However, the Samsung Q2U is about $30 to $40 cheaper, but you're talking about the same quality. So if you're in the market for those mics, I would go with the Samsung Q2U, because it's about $30 cheaper and the sound is not so much different. Now, if you're using an XLR microphone, some of the microphones I recommend is the Shure SM58. I hope I didn't say Shure SMB when I was doing this video, but this microphone, the Shure SM58, this is a good microphone. It sounds just as good as this one here that I'm using. They're very similar. This microphone can take a lot. I wouldn't tell you to do it, but you can run this microphone over with a car. You can drop it, dip it in water. I've seen it done. It still works just the same. This is a durable microphone. It's very good. And I suggest, this is my number one suggestion if you're getting an XLR microphone, and you're looking for a microphone that's within your budget. It's only $99. And it does very good. It does just as good as this. And this one was $399. So I suggest the Shure SM58 if you're going to get a XLR microphone. Now, if you have the money for it and you want to go a little bit higher, I would suggest this one here, this Shure SM7B, which is a great microphone. It does require a lot of gain, so that's why you probably have to use an amp with it, or a cloud lifter. The cloud lifter will give it a little bit more boost, so you get this sound here. So that's what I'd use. I hope this video was very informative. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the videos, because every time I put out a video, you'll know about it. You'll know about every video that comes out. So you get the scoop right away. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the page. Make sure you share it. I give information like this all the time. And, I really love what I do. If you need some podcasting tips and tricks, just, go to my Facebook page, my like page, the Start to Finish Podcasting TV network on Facebook. If you need help starting a podcast, I also work with clients starting podcasts, in any type of growing your podcast. If you already have one, I'm your man. You can email me at starttofinishpodcasting@gmail.com. Starttofinishpodcasting@gmail.com. That's going to do it for me. Thank you guys very much for listening. I enjoy you. I hope you enjoyed me, and stay safe. I am out of here. Later.